by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome in Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon. This afternoon, it's a Remember Wednesday presented by Fayetteville Fly Co. So we're going to remember back to some of the great stuff that I'm sure is going to hit all the member berries for all of you Razorback fans. So we'll dive into that. We'll also get into some basketball talk, do an SEC update, maybe look around the college football playoff landscape because people are really pissed about that. And of course, get to your chats and your phone calls at 478-344-6623. But fellas, Wednesday, got a game tonight for Razorback basketball. It's Texas week. Vibes are high, right? Everybody's feeling great, right?
Yeah, sure.
Good.
No, I'm good. I wish I was more excited for it than I am, honestly. But it's a midweek, it's a mid-major, and honestly, the only thing I care about in this game is just I want to see Arkansas kick somebody's ass. Like I think it's time for that. And then this football game, man, it's like, I don't know, people are trying really hard to force the rivalry thing and remember 2021, and it's just taking me longer than I thought to get up for this one. I'm not gonna lie, I got to be honest with you guys.
Well, you're definitely not alone, man. I mean, people, if based on just my section of the internet and my circle, people do not care about Arkansas, Texas. It is just, I really thought it was one of those things where it's like, maybe Arkansas fans would get up for this one. They're kind of talking themselves into it. I don't even really see that. But in terms of the basketball game, I'm very excited for tonight's game. I wish that this were maybe one of their easier non-conference games because, frankly, you can make an argument outside of the ones outside of Bud Walton Arena. This is one of the tougher non-conference games they're going to play in Bud Walton Arena this year. So it's like going to be one of those games where if Arkansas wins by 16, people might not be thrilled, but they probably should be. Like, that would be a pretty solid performance if Arkansas were to win by 15 or more points in this one. But I think people want to get that bad taste out of their mouth from basketball, which is understandable, and hopefully tonight cures that. But yeah, just there's a real lull in the fan base right now.
It really is. It's almost like you just got to inject a little bit of a Viagra or something into Razorback fans and getting up for this game and for these matchups. Like, that's really the only thing I can think of at this point. Thinking. Yeah, it's like you got to get some Cialis or some ED medicine in there or Hims, right? Not that we've ever had to read about Hims. But yeah, but that's how it feels right now. I'm with you. It's Arkansas fans have always kind of been in a little wait and see mode, but now it's truly in this way of, okay, I'm not going to get excited about Texas because I feel like it's not going to go well until proven otherwise. And it's kind of the same thing even with basketball tonight against Troy. Not to say that everything's bad, but it's more like, okay, well, we want to see. We're not going to believe anything until we start seeing it. We haven't really seen it just yet. They had the exhibition against Kansas, but that's an exhibition game. And not to mention that other teams are having some success, which I know we'll talk about later in the show. But that's how it feels. It's almost like Arkansas had a funectomy, and they're just not having fun. It's not fun right now. Nothing's fun. It's uneasy. It's uncertain. It's depressing. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just stuck in my own little bubble, guys, but that's just the vibe I get from Razorback fans in general. It's just meh right now overall.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a pretty good way to sum it up with football. With basketball, I think what's happened here is even after they lost on Saturday, most people within the fan base, I think, were pretty locked in on it could have won the game, got a lot to work on. It's a process. They'll get better, moving forward. But the truth of the matter is a lot of people saw Kentucky pick up a big win last night, and the tune changed really quick. And so like the grace period on figuring it out, it's lessened. And that's just, I mean, go look at the game day preview that I put out on YouTube this morning talking about this Troy game. And all of a sudden, the tune has completely flipped from, yeah, they'll be all right to they better get it going. Why the hell are they playing these guys if they're hurt? Why the hell aren't they shooting threes? So it's, like you watch BBN get to take their victory lap and they look damn good doing it. And all of a sudden you feel a little bit of pressure. I don't think Cal or the players feel that necessarily. But as a fan base has been going back and forth with these guys so much since like April, I think there is something to be said to like, all right, it's time to see these guys get going a little bit because we want to puff out our chest too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why like tonight's game is going to be fascinating to see what the reaction is regardless of what happens, honestly. Like, let's say Arkansas looks ugly and wins by 6. I could see how fans would kind of freak out and hold that against Arkansas pretty heavily. Obviously, if they lose, Arkansas is going to be getting dunked on all over the country, all over. Jeff Goodman's going to get a nice little dose of saliva in his mouth and start really rambling about Arkansas's point guard situation.
Yeah, that ain't saliva, buddy.
but it's interesting. And Curtis, I think you would agree. Like, say Arkansas goes out there and beats Troy by 25 tonight, like just absolutely smacks them. Do you feel like people would really get excited about it? I would argue they should, but that the reaction is going to be, well, Kentucky beat Duke. You got to prove it against someone else. You got to go prove. And so I feel like Arkansas's in a lose situation here, where I don't know if anything they can do tonight in this game is going to necessarily drive that excitement or get fans to really buy in just yet. But that's perfectly fine. Like, you shouldn't have your hopes lying on this Troy game. But I do feel like it's a tough spot for this Arkansas basketball team, because they're kind of in a tough situation with this Troy game tonight.
Put themselves in this situation too, because the one thing that I kept seeing over and over and over when Kentucky was beating these teams by 75 or whatever in exhibitions and early on was, oh, okay, well, we'll just see what happens when they play somebody. Well, now Arkansas has played somebody and they lost, great game, but they lost. And now Kentucky's played somebody, great game, they won, and they passed the eye test doing it. So now you're right. Like, it really doesn't matter. I mean, good Lord, you can't lose. We know that for a fact, but these next 4 games, honestly, it's not just tonight against Troy, because then you got Pacific and Little Rock and Maryland, Eastern Shore or whatever. They just got to kind of take care of business. It's almost like block out the noise and just really, really focus on getting better every game, because you're not going to really have the opportunity to kind of reestablish yourself, I guess, until that Illinois game on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you mentioned it with Razorback fans kind of going back to that point. It's always my favorite example to use, because it's kind of how Razorback fans feel, and it's the worst feeling in the world. A lot of us who were in elementary school can probably understand that. It's like when you're on that day after school program on the playground, and all the other parents have come to pick up their kids, yet you're by yourself on the big toy, and you're like, did they forget me? I don't know what to do here. Everybody else is going home playing Nintendo and enjoying themselves, and I'm just hanging out here. That's kind of how it feels right now. Is everybody else is having a great time. Everyone else is enjoying themselves. Everyone else is just, all right, man, either football's going over here or basketball's going over here. If you're Alabama, you're like, hey, everything's great over here. But Arkansas is like, when are we going to get our due? When is our time going to come? And
we've all been waiting for a long time,
man. It's I feel like the meme from Titanic. It's been 84 years or whatever it is. It's, I mean, that's how it feels. But you mentioned, Andrew, about the game tonight winning by 25. I think, I'm not saying that if they win by 25 this way, that everyone's going to go crazy. But if they came out and won by 25 because they hit it like really good amount of threes and the percentage was high and the offense looked good, and even inside got dominated, like Jonas Adu started maybe doing some stuff here in this game. I'm not saying it'll just turn everybody on the dime and be like, oh yeah, we are so back, baby. But man, that would be really nice to see. That's really what it would be. It would be really nice to see them come out and hit threes effectively, have just from beginning to end, no doubt they are the better team, and even see Adu start to get involved a little bit more and start to see all the stuff that we know he's capable of. I think if he did that, it'd make people feel at least better, at least like, okay, maybe this can work out right now. But there's a lot of unwarranted, unfair pressure that's being put on the Razorback basketball team in Calipari right now.
Well, and here's the real issue. I agree, John. That should make Arkansas that would make me feel a lot better as an observer of this basketball team, and it should make the rest of the fan base feel really good if those things happen. The problem is this fan base wants ammo to use on Twitter and in the comment sections against BBN, and you're not going to get that tonight. So if you're a fan that Arkansas looks awesome tonight, you should feel better about your team. Do not go and try and be like, hey, Kentucky fans, you see us whip up on Troy. You got to put that to the side for just a moment, but you should feel better internally about your team. But Hog fans don't want to feel good inside. They want to win in the chat rooms. They want to win on Twitter. And there's nothing that Arkansas can do tonight to win on Twitter.
This has got ugly, comfortable, but non-blowout win written all over it tonight. It really does. Yeah. But from a like inside the numbers, pure basketball perspective, this is a really good challenge for Arkansas, not because Troy is, going to be one of these mid-major darlings. It goes to Sweet 16 or something, but because of the style that they play, because you really got to be on your toes. I almost said P's and Q's just now, and I haven't said that since I was like 8 years old. But they really got to be on their toes because these are guys they're gonna press you, they're gonna trap you, they're gonna mix it up with a bunch of different looks. Sometimes it's gonna be out of nowhere in the half court. Sometimes they're gonna pick you up full court. It's gonna come from a lot of different areas. So it's not even about like you're not gonna get a lot of answers about Arkansas's half court offensive execution tonight. No, this is not that type of game unless Troy just really says, hey, they look like crap against the zone, so we're just going to do that for 40 minutes. If Troy plays their style of basketball, this is more about Arkansas just being smart, recognition on your young point guard to see where these traps are coming from. But then it's about just hit the open guy and go make a play. So from that standpoint, if you get that opportunity, you got guys like Thiero, Brazil, dudes who are playing above the rim, dunking on guys, and it could be exciting from that perspective. I hope that Troy plays that style of basketball where they're trying to generate turnovers and we get up and down a little bit and get some highlights, because that would help. If they just back up in a 2-3 zone and say, shoot threes, good luck, it's going to be one of those clunker of a Wednesday night games.
What was that first name you listed there, Curtis? Thiero? What? I'm not familiar with that. I think maybe you mean Thiero, our star power forward.
I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I'm just going to start calling him T or A.
Let's just call him a do.
Yeah, just work with that because apparently the names always change. But still, yeah, I'm hoping for some sort of, like you said, excitement, some energy, some highlights, some stuff that they can really get people excited again tonight. Because again, it's just a weird time. It's a weird vibe right now, and you haven't, in the first two games, you just haven't showcased that. And it's not saying you're a bad team. It's not saying you're going to be a bad team later this year. It's not saying you're not worthy of being a top 20. It's not saying any of that. But it's just a matter of having that belief and that good feeling and that excitement. Like Andrew, you talking about getting in the Twitters and having the ammo. It's like Razorback fans are wanting a nuclear bomb right now. They're like, I need something to go over there and just nuke them. And it's like, well, here's a pellet gun. Good luck. And you don't get the nuke just yet. That's how it is. Fans are tired of getting dunked on right now, and they want something. They want something to say, hey, we had this. But the problem is that's not going to happen for a while. That feels like, no matter what.
Truth of the matter is, right now, Kentucky is better than Arkansas at basketball in damn near every facet of the game. Like, they don't have the high-end talent. They don't have as high of a ceiling as Arkansas does big picture. I don't think it's even relatively close. But in terms of how much they've come together and the intensity that they're playing with and their ability to shoot the ball, close out games, I mean, they have passed the eye test, and Arkansas hasn't quite done that yet. And that's a tough pill to swallow right now. So then you have the Kentucky fans who are saying, oh, yep, he's playing all the hits, and like, just because he said something before doesn't mean it's not true. Like, it's objectively true that they have been practicing with 5 guys, and that is part of the reason why they are a little bit behind right now. It doesn't make you feel any better because it makes it look like everything that they're telling us is right. And meanwhile, they get the new coach and they're rolling right away. So it really is a big picture. Like, you got to let the season play out because, like I said, Arkansas is the more talented team. They have the higher ceiling. They got to go out there and reach it. It might be the end of the year before we can really get our get back, or at least February 1st, but it ain't going to happen right now.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, Hog fans are just waiting to dunk on Big Blue Nation on Twitter. Like, that's really all that's in their brain. And look, Big Blue Nation, same thing. Like, they're waiting and they have plenty of ammo right now. And that's what, again, we just keep coming back to, it sucks with this 4-game stretch because you're just not going to get that moment. And I know Kentucky, did a victory lap after blowing out some teams early in the year, and we thought it was stupid then. It's no longer stupid when you go out there and beat Duke the way that they did and look as good as they did in that second half, especially. I mean, they dominated Duke in the second half. And now Kentucky has an older team. I think I heard one of the commentators last night say that Kentucky's youngest starter was older than Duke's oldest starter.
Yeah.
Last night in that game. And so look, that more power to them. That's just the way they built their roster. It seems like they should be a little bit more ahead of schedule. But there's still a brand new team. And so for them to kind of figure it out as early as they did is interesting, though. I do remember, didn't BYU start off extremely, extremely hot last year? Did I make that up?
They were like one of the last undefeateds or something, I think, before. Yeah.
Well,
sort of came back down to earth a little bit at some point, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping.
I mean, like big picture, like they're going to hit a lot of threes. Some games they're not. They've got a lot of stuff that they've got to work on the defensive end of the floor. And it's interesting. Like you saw last night, they're in a situation where they have to find like who's the go-to guy, like who goes and gets you a bucket. And apparently that's Andrew Carr, like the power forward transfer from Wake Forest or something. I don't know how sustainable that's going to be moving forward. So they have a ton that they've got to figure out, but they did look good. They looked really good in the process.
Yeah, I'm gonna be that guy, and I'm fine with it. The reaction to that game was really good. I mean, the Kentucky fans had a lot of reason to be excited, but holy crap, I like seeing videos of Kentucky fans like crying. I'm like, what is happening here right now? I'm like, I get it that it's a big win and you should celebrate. I mean, I would celebrate. Arkansas fans celebrated last year when they beat Duke. Didn't amount to anything, but they did. So I get it. But it's game 3, and just it's like I get it. It's all great, but man, that reaction from some of them was like, y'all need to relax. I mean, just a couple years ago, wasn't it that they beat Kansas in Fog Allen Fieldhouse, and which was an awesome win? So it's not like they've gone so long without some major win in the regular season.
They beat North Carolina in one of those big, it's like the CBS Sports Classic or whatever last year.
Yeah,
I was seeing a lot of they've been waiting on this since however many years ago, and God, did they ever need this? And I mean, it's a really, really good win.
It is
a great win for Mark Pope and for the resume and everything like that. But it's just again, like it just makes you feel like did Cal like miss the tournament 7 years in a row? And like, are they going under 500 every year? I mean, it's like, damn, did they really, and I mean this sincerely, because I know there's some Big Blue Nation people who are listening right now. Was it really that bad for you guys? Like, were you that miserable with what was going on? I understand like the need for a fresh start. Cal needed one too. Okay. But I'm genuinely asking, like, was it that rough?
Apparently.
Well, I've also seen a lot of sentiments that were like Arkansas fans expected Cal to be different than he was at Kentucky. I'm like, I don't know if that's really true. Like, I think we kind of knew what Cal was, because frankly, Arkansas fans 3 years ago were on the other end of it, where we were pointing out, oh, hey, Cal, great recruiter, but has lost in the tournament. Like, we were doing all those jokes. I think we all kind of understood what Arkansas was getting in John Calipari. We just felt like it was a formula that would work a lot at Arkansas. And I still feel that way, frankly.
Yeah.
Frankly, I don't know if I'm that crazy for feeling that way. Will it lead to Arkansas making the Final Four this year or next year? I have no idea, but like, I'm willing to field an extremely loaded roster and let the chips fall where they may. But yeah,
fall where they may.
BYU started 12-1 last year and finished 23-11. I'm not, for those of you that are counting at home, I'm just saying, like, it's not this isn't like a new development. Mark Pope starting out really strong. Which, by the way, Mark Pope still looking for that first NCAA tournament win. So we'll see how long this lasts. But honestly, guys, I think for Arkansas fans, you got to block out all the noise. Just figure out tonight when you watch Arkansas play, do we have a team that can compete? And then tomorrow, and then the next week, just see if your team's getting better. Evaluate the season through your own lens. Don't worry about what's going on everywhere else, or if you get to go on Twitter and say anything to anyone else. Just watch the team, enjoy the team, see if they're going to take the strides that we think they can take, and we'll see how this plays out.
It's unreal, dude. Because like this from Johnny, he's like, I guess he's a Kentucky fan maybe, but he's like, they were crying tears of joy from not having to take an L in the Champions Classic like we've had to do for the last decade. We beat them because of coaching finally. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard anybody say of crying tears of joy, because you didn't take an L in the Champions Classic. Who gives a crap about the Champions Classic? Who cares?
Also, I've watched Kentucky win the Champions Classic a lot over the last 15 years.
I think they'd lost like 3 in a row or something, but I mean,
like, what does that matter though? Like, I mean, for crying out loud, Arkansas lost like 18 straight against Texas A&M in the Southwest Classic. And I mean, maybe there are people crying tears of joy in 2021 when they finally beat them, but still, that's just ridiculous. Right. Y'all are absurd.
Johnny Corn, and I appreciate that. I mean, I asked, so I'm happy with the answers. As his last 4 years have been absolutely horrifying at UK. Muscle Man has a far better record the last 4 years. He has far more NCAA tournament success the last 4 years. I don't know that I would say he has a far better record the last 4 years. I mean, I don't know.
I guess Cal had that one bad year. Maybe if you just add it all together, because he had that one year where he was like,
well, the last
damn
4
near
years, they went 23-10 last year. They were a 3 seed. So I understand that they lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I feel like that was the big issue to me,
Yeah.
but not regular season success. 2 years ago, 22-12. Maybe that's just more losses than they're accustomed to, I guess. I mean, I really think there might be something to that. They were a 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. The year before that, 26-8. And they were a 2 seed and they lost in there. And then I think the next year, it was the 9-16, the COVID year. So maybe not as good as, like they had been. I mean, there's definitely been a drop off.
If you don't care,
let me tell you what miserable is. It ain't that though.
No,
right.
No, miserable is what Razorback basketball was last year. That was miserable. That was awful,
tough, man.
But Joey coming in is like, if you don't care about winning games, Cal is your perfect fit. I beg your pardon.
He wins a lot of games.
So he's like, what? Dude,
let's not get it too twisted here. I mean, just
people are so dumb.
Mark Pope would have to win 10 consecutive NCAA tournament titles, and Cal would have to not win another NCAA tournament game for him to catch John Calipari in terms of postseason victories. So, like this whole caring about winning games thing, I get it a couple years, but my goodness, man.
I love it. This is a great comment. Barely over 500, 80-46.
Like they were almost twice over 500.
But look,
this guy's got to be trolling
for a second. There is a lot of room in between Cal is the greatest coach ever, and or the level that Cal was at back in 2012, 2015 days, and the absolute dumpster fire that Kentucky fans are claiming that it has been. Like there is a lot of room in between there, and he certainly falls somewhere in there. Like do Arkansas fans think they are getting, Pete Calipari, who's about to rattle off like multiple Final Fours and national titles? No. But do they think they're getting the guy that went 9-16 in 2021? Like, no, we don't. But I think it's somewhere in between that. And look, it's a fresh start. It's a fresh situation. Like I'm okay with those results. Like I think Kentucky fans think that this is like a lot more of a gotcha than it is. It's like, I don't know.
I think this is a good comment right here. He-Man Forever says, I think there was mixed feelings about Pope taking over for Cal. There was, because I mean, we've talked about it with Hurley and Scott Drew and Billy Donovan or whatever. And it's like, oh, Mark Pope, what the hell? And like the reaction at the time was, this is not good. Then rebuilding the roster, overjoyed with one of their own coaching the team to a big victory. Yes, I like that. That was a good comment.
Yeah, and you could be excited about the future and be like, hey, I feel like this win last night marks the time of like the new era, and we think we're going to go on to a lot of success. I could get behind that, absolutely. But viewing it as like this crowning moment where Kentucky is rising back to prominence, climbing out of the pit they've been in, and Arkansas losing to Baylor and Fort Worth on Saturday is like a sign that Coach Calipari is a fraud. Like why are we actually trying to pretend like these are real things?
Because again, they want to be justified in their feelings of anger towards them. That's all it is. They want to be justified in it. But hey, I got a real bold prediction I'm sure everyone's going to make. I will guarantee that Duke will make it further in the NCAA tournament than Kentucky this year. I'm going to go ahead and guarantee it.
I mean, I would go with that.
So Kentucky fans,
I still like Duke.
What does that mean?
Crazy.
They'll probably make it further in Arkansas too. They're really good.
No, they are. But there's a lot of season, a lot of games to be played.
Mm-hmm.
They just, as long as they lose on February 1st, that's all really I care about at this point.
I got to be honest with you guys. I came away from the game thinking I actually like Duke, and I thought Duke was going to be good coming into it. I think the flag kid is obviously good. The other white kid might suck. The Nupple kid, he might suck. But
he's pretty good, dude.
Well, he sucked last night down the stretch. He got absolutely clamped. But I actually do like that. That was the type of game that I think Duke needed, where you have like a younger roster that kind of got exposed in the second half. They weren't able to really get any good shots down the stretch there. I think that was like the kind of loss that Duke needed. So I agree with that. I think Duke is gonna take that and run with it. I think Duke is gonna be a tough out in like February, March. Whereas I do think Kentucky is obviously very good right now. I think Kentucky's gonna whip a lot of ass here in the next couple months. And I mean, you see it like when they beat teams, they really beat teams. That's even what Mark Pope was doing at BYU. But I do agree with your sentiment, Curtis, that like the ceiling might be a little bit lower there at Kentucky than some of these other teams.
This is still dealing with the Champions Classic, but can we go ahead and get Michigan State out of champion? Like I'm sick. I hate Tom Izzo, and there's nobody more overrated than him.
What did Tom Izzo do to you?
Like he's just, I get sick and tired of everyone talking about him like he's this like elite level coach. Yes, he's a good coach, but geez, his title was 24 years ago.
Yeah, he always makes the tournament, but yeah, that's like the last time the Big Ten won a title. I mean, it's been a long time for him, man.
Literally the last time. So it's like, I just get tired of seeing him in all these like big events. And I'm like, this is so boring. I mean, they gave Kansas a run though. I mean, 77-69, Kansas did get the win, but yeah. It's just, I love college basketball, but last night was just one of those things where I'm like, are you kidding me? Why do I don't even want to look at Twitter because I know all you idiot Big Blue Nation fans are just going to be, even though I have said nothing to the sorts, but it's just, you guys have made me hate you so much more. And that's, Arkansas, Kentucky is a rivalry in college basketball. It's the number one rivalry in the SEC. Saying it. I'm just saying.
Hey, we've been doing a lot of rivalry talk about manufactured rivalries and what's really Arkansas, Kentucky. That's a real rivalry, and it was a real rivalry for Arkansas this whole time. Like we always got up for that game, but there's no doubt about it. Like there's some real beef there, and frankly, I hope this little tension lasts for a while.
I do too. I said that to one of the Kentucky fans. I was like, hey, this is a good rivalry or whatever. It's not a rivalry. Oh my brother in Christ, it is a rivalry if I've ever seen a rivalry. You being in every one of our mentions and DMs and replies and comment section shows how much it's a rivalry because you care that much.
Here's what I'll say to the Kentucky fans who are watching the show right now. Our post game show is going to go live tonight after the Arkansas Troy game. We invite you to come join us. Forget the trolling and haha John Calipari. Tell us about your experiences. You know, like what, because we hear about this all the time. So based on what you see when you watch Arkansas and Troy tonight, because you will. We know that you will. Come educate us. You know, like skip the trolling and the arguments with everybody. Educate us a little bit. If we need to know, because you keep saying you're going to find out, you're getting a taste of it now. Let us know what it is we're getting a taste of. Like what do you see in this game that's giving you the PTSD flashbacks of the horrific, brutal, disgraceful run that Kentucky had the last few years. I would be interested to know. It'll
be a safe space. Yeah. We'll provide trigger warnings for any of you that are, can go back to that horrible, awful time that Calipari gave you at Kentucky. And just, you may have to relive a little bit. Fight through it. Be brave, but fight through it. It's going to be okay. I mean, it's sad. I'm obviously being very facetious, but that's how I feel with some of these Kentucky fans, where I'm like, y'all act like he was the devil in disguise. Like he wrecked your program. Like, come on, man.
Let us know where the Italian man touched you.
Yeah. Exactly.
We'll put a little cow doll up on the thing, and you just just point to it. Jeez.
John Calipari into a modern day Chad Morris's wild behavior.
Yeah. There is a lot of similarities. Like they both have an A in their name. So I mean, that's about it though. But it's funny. It's just funny. This is what's going to make it great, though. This college basketball, this heat, this constant back and forth. I can't wait till we travel to Lexington, guys. It's going to be fun no matter what.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe we can really rev it up and we can become public enemy number ones when we get there. See if they have any like security that we can hire to like surround us, like coaches do at SEC Media Days. Have some police escorts. May get to that point. But I'm hoping so. One day.
I love this because Curtis, you just asked them to like kind of educate us a little bit, and they always do this. We'll tell you exactly how it's going to go. Okay, tell us.
Do it.
That's what we're asking. Like, what's going to happen? Like, is Arkansas going to lose to Troy tonight? Like, is that what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Or will they win these 4 games and then will they lose to Illinois? Like, you just gotta let us know. We're coming to you for your sage advice.
That's right. Just write it out. Write out the full breakdown. We can even publish it on InsideArkansas.com for you if you'd like. So that way everybody can see. You can share the wisdom of how it all is going to go from the perspective of Kentucky fans. And we can get ourselves ready. It'll be great. You can go on Bet Saracen. You can bet some money, on the games, since you guys all know what it's all about. We would love that.
I do love that. I know we're not going to spend the entire show talking about this, but I do love the the different mindsets of BBN trolls or whatever you want to call them, because some are just like, haha, F you, and that's fine. I mean, like you do what you want. But then the others, like they come in the comments, and I haven't had so much of that. Actually, my comments were dominated by Louisville fans yesterday, but I see it in like other people where it's like, just coming to you guys as friends. Like, listen, we're just trying to warn you. We just want to prepare you for what's coming. And it's just like,
That's
weird.
Because look, I understand. Like, look, you have a huge win over Duke. You should have the haha fu mentality. Like,
yes.
Frank, you should absolutely do your victory lap. You should be dunking on Arkansas fans who have been tweeting at you. No issue with that. But it is hilarious that people that are like, no, I'm coming as a concerned patron, man. Like, I really want to help you. That's the funniest thing to me.
Yeah, it's like that school counselor that's like coming to the kids like, I'm here for you. I'm here to help.
I'm a survivor.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. But the last thing I'll say about it too, and Curtis Villanova, it was like that guy that we hung out with Saturday night that was a Kentucky fan.
Yes.
You know, and he summed up the bipolar type of vibe of a Kentucky fan when he walked up. He was a nice guy, and I really like him, so I'm not hating on him. But it was just funny because he goes, "Listen, guys, you know, I really like Cal, and I've always been a fan. I was so appreciative. I'm rooting for you guys, except when you play Kentucky. Except that guy could not ever run a play down the stretch. That guy he was always recruiting. He could never win a game. He just goes off on him like." It's like in one area you're like, yeah, man, I always liked him. I'm respect. But let me tell you how horrible he is. That's kind of what a lot of them are like. It's just you appreciate it, but he's so horrible that you hate him in your own mind. It's wild behavior, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's going to make college basketball great, especially here in the SEC. Which leads us to our. Go ahead. Sorry. No, when you grunted, I got to get.
Cal hasn't beat a legitimate top 25 team in November in the 2020. So what matters? Is it November? Is it March? Is it everything in between?
I skimmed the comment at first, and I was like, dude, I remember them beating Bama last year. Like, man, that was a good win. I was like, oh, wait, no, not in November. Sorry, my bad. Not in November.
Like, am I taking crazy pills? Like, at what point does when has anyone ever said, man, that win in November in college basketball was really what did it? My goodness gracious. We're surrounded by morons. I swear.
Did Arkansas beat Duke in November last year?
They did.
No, they beat him in. Was it November or December?
It's November, I think.
Well, that mattered.
Last year, Eric Musselman had more legitimate November wins than Cal. You know,
that's true. It's true. And look where they're at now. Both coaches, different places, different circumstances.
Yeah, hey, November 29th. Whew, what a time to be alive. It's been downhill since then.
You know, I'm glad that they won that game because I was so fed up with Arkansas not winning any big games in the month of November in college basketball. I was sick of that. Like those Elite Eights and Sweet 16s. Yeah, like those Elite Eights and Sweet 16s, those were that didn't mean anything. It was that game in November that really had to set us apart. I'm so glad that they were able to make that happen.
It's more important to win college basketball games in November than it is football games in November, apparently.
That's what I hear.
I would agree with that.
That's what's being reported these days. Oh, God, you're a bunch of morons. All right, let's go ahead and get into your Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by Alumni Hall. We're going to be there live Friday at noon right there in Alumni Hall, 3417 North College Avenue. So come on out and hang out with us. Get you some great Razorback apparel. They got it all in stock, especially for the colder weather that's going to be coming up. So a lot of you making the trip for the Texas game. Get you some basketball gear, too. They got it all at Alumni Hall. You can also shop them online at alumnihall.com/Arkansas-Razorbacks. But the simple question of just what do you want to see tonight against Troy? I love always the great answers. They're just like, oh, win. Yeah, thanks. But in more seriousness and specific, Michael says on Twitter, more attempts to get into the paint. The game is not the time to be working out on your 3-point shooting. I don't know if that's a sentence, but sure. Aaron says better shooting from three. Kerry says need to get John L. Davis going. I know what he's capable of, but I want to see a lot more of him just taking over a game. And Love My Hogs says just a complete game offensively and defensively. And then a few other ones are just saying dominate them completely. So there you go.
I mean, I kind of agree with the dominate them completely thing.
I do too.
And not just, I mean, at some point they just got to do it, you know? And so whatever that looks like, if you're the superior team, you should do that. But yeah, I mean, I agree with some of those comments there. If you get into the weeds a little bit, I don't know about saying John L. Davis needs to get going so much as just like shake off the Baylor game. Cause he was really good against Lipscomb, I thought. But yeah, I mean, get back on track for him. I don't like. A lot of people are going to say, Jonas Aidoo and more minutes, and I don't think he's healthy. I legitimately don't know if he's going to play tonight, honestly, because if Cal's saying he shouldn't have played against Baylor and he didn't play well against Baylor, is 72 hours just going to magically make him athletic again and moving well again and healthy again? I don't know. But I mean, I also don't know what's going on behind the scenes with him at practice and rehab and everything. Whether it's tonight or in a few weeks or January, I don't know. Like, Arkansas has to have a healthy Jonas Aidoo, and I don't care what they have to do to make that happen. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see them make some threes. I would love to see Carter Knox get going a little bit. A guy who has never lacked for confidence throughout his entire career as an offensive player, and he just looks a little bit unsure of himself out there. And he'll have a 1 minute stretch where he's kind of letting that thing fly, and he looks like he's playing with a lot of freedom. And you see the McDonald's All-American in him, and then it'll be 15 minutes of him just kind of being out there getting cardio. It's like just guys who have shown flashes, just doing it more consistently.
How many minutes did Carter Knox play against Baylor? Like 12, 13? Like, it wasn't a ton, right?
Much, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see him get a little bit more run on the floor. I'll tell you, so the three-point shooting clearly is like the thing that I really would like to see. Arkansas hit 9 or 10 threes would just help me sleep a little bit better at night. I'll tell you a guy that I feel like nobody's really talking about a ton. DJ Wagner hasn't been like horrible in the first 2 games of the year, but all offseason, I'd kind of spent the time talking myself into the idea that he was going to be a much better version of the player we saw as a freshman, who had some flashes early but was very inconsistent. I felt like he was going to be a much more confident, much more consistent and reliable version, where like John L. Davis is still going to be the guy. We expect him to be fine. I'm not really worried about him because he's shown he can play at a high level against anyone. Boogie Fland is a super talented freshman. I'm sure he's going to have his ups and downs, but I feel like I kind of know what to expect out of Boogie Fland. DJ Wagner being like a legitimate number 3 guard and being a real adult sophomore who can take over at times, that's kind of how I view him. We saw him in that Kansas game look awesome. We've seen little flashes of it here and there, but I feel like I've been a little underwhelmed with his first 2 games of the regular season. Hasn't really looked exactly how I thought it would look. And so I'm interested because like at some point we have to have a conversation about the fact that he wasn't very good last year. And so if he we all assumed he would just kind of take that next step. And this offseason, all indications, everything we heard was that he had taken that next step. And so I would be a little, if he had another stinker tonight, I would start to get a little bit like, where I'm like, okay, maybe we did. Cause at first I was not crazy about DJ Wagner when they first were talking about bringing him in. I was like, really? Like the guy who was underwhelming as a 5-star, but then I talked myself all the way in, and I maybe talked myself in too hard, if that makes sense.
It does complicate things offensively if you're playing a complete non-shooter in an off-ball position, and he's not doing anything by way of basket cutting. So it's just it's kind of driving into 3 or 4 guys. In recent games here, that's led to turnovers in very key spots where you don't need them. The 3-point shot looked good against Kansas, and then he's been like shooting them off the side corner of the backboard and stuff the last couple games, which just tells me that he's not confident in it, and he's just kind of overcompensating, aiming rather than just shooting it. So there's got to be some middle ground there. He's been great defensively from start to finish, so I'll give him credit for that. Sure. If you suck at ball screen defense, which Arkansas has with Big Z on the floor, one way to overcome that is have a guard like DJ Wagner who can just blow up those screens. And so he's been really good at that. But yeah, I mean, it's if he's not going to be getting a bunch of assists because he's not on the ball, and if he's playing off the ball and he's a non-shooting threat, at some point you got to wonder how do you get the best out of him, I guess. And I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know if they'll figure it out, but it's something they need to do.
Yeah, I mean, he's 0 for 4 from 3 so far, and he's got 6 turnovers, 3 assists. Obviously, he's capable of being much better than that, but I would like to see it, frankly.
Also, shout out to our guy, Chef Boyar Lee. Appreciate the super chat and everything, as always. But he says, hey, boys, I'll be up there for the rest of the week. Was wanting to shake y'all's hand and say what's up. Was wondering if it'd be better tomorrow or Friday for y'all. We beat Troy, beat Texas. Well, I tell you what, Chef Boyar Lee. We are going to be at the Leroy tomorrow night for our classic EA Sports College Football live stream starting at 7 o'clock between Arkansas and Texas. So come out to the Leroy on Dixon Street tomorrow night, and we will be there. And we will be pumped up to watch that simulation that I'm sure is going to go completely right and accurate. So be a lot of fun. But yeah, we'll be there tomorrow night, and then Alumni Hall at noon on Friday. So we're gonna be out amongst the people, boys, over the next couple of days. It's gonna be great. Getting primed and ready for that.
Yeep.
And then also, I was going to read this. Oh, I guess from Unbiased Bram says, gentlemen, do you think Sealy commits to the Hogs?
Yes.
There we go. Simple enough.
Everyone wants to know who's next.
Yep, that's next. Ross wants to says, can we see a good crowd tonight?
Probably not.
I'm giving them credit for at least doing everything they can to try to get tickets redistributed to the people. So don't know if it's going to actually happen, but it also depends on what your definition of a good crowd is. I mean, are you saying over 50% full? Then yeah, it's going to be over 50% full. Are you saying 20,000? No, it's not. So
tickets sold, they'll have a lot of those.
Yeah, always love those from the box scores. Those are always annoying. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our Remember Wednesday segment here on the show, sponsored by Fayetteville Fly Co. If you've seen me or Curtis or any of us wearing these awesome Rod Hog hoodies, shirts, all that, they have it at Fayetteville Fly Co. And you got a great deal with them. If you just go to fflyco.com, you can see all the different apparel that they have. It's a small business based right here in Fayetteville. And it's for all the outdoor enthusiasts, weekend warriors who enjoy everything that Northwest Arkansas has to offer as far as fishing and hiking and biking and so much more, as well as hunting. They have hats, they have long sleeve shirts, short sleeve shirts, as well as outerwear. And the best thing about it, you get a promo code where you can save 20%. Just use HogsBuy20 as a promo code, and you'll get 20% off your purchase. Again, HogsBuy20. Get that promo code, 20% off, free shipping on all orders of $50 or more. They also have new full zip jackets and hoodies in time for cold weather ahead. So check it out. It's Fayetteville Fly Co. at fflyco.com. All right, so I know we've used a little bit to talk about basketball, so I'm going to go ahead and start with a little bit of a basketball thing. Do you remember when Villanova was a college basketball powerhouse and team that won, 2 national championships in 3 years with Jay Wright? And that was not long ago at all. In fact, it was less than 10 years ago. And seeing what they've become, it's pretty sad.
Dude, they were UConn like 6 years ago.
Yep.
Like really not that long ago. They were UConn. I mean, you look at even what they've put in the NBA, like they have a ton of guys from that era that are like playing awesome in the NBA, and some of them are even playing together. It is kind of crazy how like almost overnight it just shut down.
Yeah.
It's a damn shame.
It is. Jay Wright's not going to be walking through that door, but still,
they were a weird deal, man, because it's like Jay Wright retires or whatever, and instead of doing an in-house replacement or a national coaching search, they just go pluck the coach from Fordham, who just wasn't. I mean, it's not like he was really killing it there. And I understand the connections and everything, but looking back on it, it's like, I don't know, maybe you should have thought that through a little bit more. But the craziest thing to me. And I don't know what Villanova's NIL situation is like, but they had a good team last year in terms of talent and lost a bunch of those guys. And they just really didn't go out and do much of anything in the portal. They got Wooga Poplar from Miami and they got Dixon back, but the rest of that team, it's a mid-major quality roster. And they wonder why they're losing to Columbia and St. Joe's. Well, it's because they're really not that talented. And they don't have the the historically good coach in Jay Wright either, so it's kind of tough.
Yeah, I've because it's them. Was it all the private Catholic schools that's up there? Is pretty much like the mix of some of those great programs that once were. I'm hopefully, or let's say hopefully, I hope it doesn't happen where Villanova turns into like Georgetown, because I always thought Georgetown was always a great basketball program and so cool. And Georgetown has not been relevant at all in like 10 years.
The best Georgetown basketball moment was when Pat Ewing hit that. Where did you learn to shoot that shot? When have you ever shot that shot? You know, that, like when he was getting onto that guy. That was the best Georgetown basketball moment of like the last 20 years. That and Mac McClung.
Yeah. And is it Hashim Thabit that went there? Or am I thinking
Hibbert was that Roy Hibbert? The beat I think was UConn.
Okay.
Hibbert was at Georgetown, and he was good.
Mm-hmm. And of course, they had some guys like named Allen Iverson. That was Gary. I heard was
Otto
good.
Porter was Otto Porter Georgetown.
Yes,
sounds right.
That was maybe like the last like relevant. They got beat. That Georgetown team got beat in a 3-14 game against Dunk City FGCU, and that was like the unofficial end of the program. They have not been the same since then.
Yeah.
Also wanted to go and just change up a little bit for football for Remember When, because it happened actually 13 years ago today. Do y'all remember when Joe Adams returned that punt against Tennessee? Which is amazing that it's been 13 years, for one. But two, still watching it, still doesn't get old, still is crazy. Still one of those things where, I'm sure you know, Andrew, but I remember where I was when I saw that happen. I was in the front row of the student section, and I swear I thought that he went out of bounds. I thought I was going to get called back. I didn't understand why they did it, but it was an epic moment. It was even better. It's one of the few game moments that's actually better watching it on TV than it was watching it live. It truly was. Because on TV, you got to see the whole ridiculousness of it. But in person, you were just like, what happened? You didn't really know what was going on. But yeah, that happened 13 years ago today for Remember When.
One of Arkansas's many wins over Tennessee in football. They just own that program. For whatever reason, Arkansas football just owns Tennessee.
Well, yeah, wish they would. Well, they own Tennessee baseball in the regular season.
Yeah,
what that's worth. So, yeah, that's about it, though.
I'd like to see them own Tennessee basketball to start SEC play this year. That'd make me a happy man.
That would make me a very happy man.
I'd be in the Kentucky chat rooms if that were the case.
That's right. Yeah, getting the KSR chat. Let them have it a little bit. So.
Golly, I'm literally about to mute words on Twitter, and one of them is going to be KSR and like BBN. It's just getting out of control.
I love it.
Y'all got any Remember Wednesdays?
Do you remember when the state of Alabama just stuck to its wheelhouse, just stayed in its own lane of football and didn't dominate college basketball as well? I mean, hell, leave something for the rest of us. You know, this is crazy. Yeah. Alabama and Auburn is one thing, at least now. I mean, Bruce Pearl's been there long enough to where, like, I'm okay with them being consistently good, but you can't have Alabama too. And when did Alabama decide to be good at basketball? And then now all of a sudden, but they look like two of the best teams in the country. How sick would you be if there was a Final Four that had Alabama and Auburn in it?
I was sick last year when Bama was in the Final Four. I'm like, this cannot be happening.
You can have one or the other, not both.
If they have an Iron Bowl national championship, I would literally do some horrible things to myself. I do a lot of self-harm. I'm just going to be honest.
Dude, I got to be honest. Yeah, now y'all got to really talk me off the ledge here. I am really impressed with Auburn and like scared of Auburn more so than Alabama.
I mean, Auburn has a better win. And I mean,
and something about them fighting on the plane really inspired me. Like, I was like, man, like them fighting on the plane and then going out there and winning. Like, that just showed me they've got a little, this might not be the Auburn team that will fade down the stretch.
See, and that's what pisses me off, like, as a Razorback fan, because that type of stuff never happens with Arkansas, where there's a fight somewhere, something controversial, and it leads to a victory. No, it always leads to extra disaster. It's like, you know, whether it's, you know, having Jeremy Sprinkle get busted for stealing from Belk. I was like, oh, you know, how's that going to go? You're going to not even score in the second half in the Belk Bowl. You know, it just the cheerleaders and stuff, like, none of it's going to happen that way.
Bradley says, remember when Cal won his first and only championship back in 2012? Do you remember when Mark Pope won his first and only No. That's in the future. My bad. I
actually remember exactly where I was when Cal won that title. I was in New Orleans, which is where he won the title. I was on a field trip, and I remember like being like annoyed that we could. I mean, you know, we obviously couldn't divert our field trip to go to the game. But I remember like I might have even bought a Kansas basketball jersey because I believe Kansas was in that Final Four as well. They had all this merch, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get some Kansas basketball stuff.
You randomly happen upon Kansas merchandise. I've noticed.
I'm honestly kind of a Kansas fan.
Is that right?
Like, I just like Kansas. I don't know. Duke too. I kind of like Duke. I don't know. That's what made last night so tough. I find myself cheering for some of the Blue Bloods.
Who did Kentucky beat in that title game?
I think it was Kansas.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Kansas was definitely in the Final Four, but I think it was Kansas. I want to say, I don't know. Kentucky fans will know. I mean,
I'm sure somebody in the damn chat will know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Kansas that they beat? It was Anthony Davis, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. I'm trying to think of who was on that Kansas team. Like Kelly Oubre or something like that.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a thing called Google.
Hey,
we could
Kentucky
probably look
fans,
it
y'all
up.
been chatting every 2 seconds. Who did y'all beat in the 2012?
Yeah, they beat Kansas 67-59. So, yeah, that was the national championship. That Kansas team had Jeff Withey. Remember him? Travis Relaford. Yep, Travis Relaford and Tyshawn Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that Kansas team still had Morningstar on it, but nope, no dice.
I tell you, Anthony Davis might be just one of the 5 greatest college basketball seasons ever. Like that one year at Kentucky, what did they go, like 33-2 or something like that?
38-2.
Good God. And he was unbelievable. He was averaging like 6 blocks a game or something crazy like that.
Yeah, he was pretty good. He was pretty good and had a pretty good season there. But another thing with the Remember Wednesday, since on top of that, and correlates with mine, I also remember that season where freaking Indiana played Kentucky, beat Kentucky on that 3-point shot buzzer beater. And that's what won the ESPY for the play of the year in sports, not Joe Adams' punt return. Still pisses me off.
It was a great play.
Oh, I'm not saying it wasn't, but how many times have we seen buzzer beaters in basketball? It's pretty common. Well, how many times have we seen a punt return in college football like that? Never happens. So, but it's just classic ESPN. You know, just helping out the big dogs over there.
ESPYs, man, that was Tom Crean, man. That was a notable win for Tom Crean.
Yeah, was it what was the kid's last name on Indiana? The big tall white kid. He had a Zeller, wasn't it? Zeller?
Cody Zeller?
Yeah, I think so. And then Victor Oladipo was on that Indiana team too.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, yeah. David says that.
Win.
Yeah. He says, you remember when we had
David
Hall of Fame coach and found something to be upset about. Yeah. No, I don't remember that. Not at all.
I'm not upset about anything, so no. But my remember win is just to get us back on football here, because Arkansas does play Texas in football. Remember when Texas went through a really long time where they just weren't good at football? Mm-hmm. Like it really was a stretch there where I got the win-loss records pulled up from 2010 to 2017. Texas goes 5-7, 8-5, 9-4, 8-5, 6-7, 5-7, 5-7, 7-6. Like that is a long stretch there for a program like Texas with the brand name, maybe the number 1 brand in college football, just stunk for 8 years. Just was not good. And it was it became a running joke of haha, Texas is back. They'll never be back. Like we really thought Texas was just never going to be good at football again. Or at least I kind of talked myself into it.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make crazy that a program like Texas went through that long.
Well, I was kind of hoping it would be a situation with Kentucky because they wanted Mac Brown fired. They wanted him gone. They got tired of him because he had gone in his final few years, 5-7, 8-5, 9-4, and 8-5. They're like, you're out of here, buddy. And then you saw what happened. Charlie Strong and Tom Herman came in and didn't do well. And Mac Brown still freaking coaching over there in North Carolina. Although I don't know how much longer he's got. But still, yeah, I do remember that. And those were good times seeing Texas struggle. I enjoyed that a lot. Didn't hurt my feelings in the slightest. So there's a few of those programs too. I could really go back speaking of those types of programs. Nebraska. I remember Nebraska in the late 90s, early 2000s. Eric Crouch. They were one of the best teams every single year in college football. And
yeah. Well, the black shirts, or whatever they call the defense, those guys were nasty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I thought, I honestly think that Miami National Championship game is what broke Nebraska football forever. Is when they went up against literally the greatest college football team ever assembled in Miami and just got punked. I don't think there was any coming back from that.
I remember when Nebraska fired Bo Pelini because he kept going 8-4. He literally went exactly 8-4, 6 straight years or something like that. And they were like, we're sick of this. Nowadays, if Nebraska is actually not that bad this year. Nowadays, if Nebraska went 8-4, they'd be pretty thrilled.
I feel like Nebraska has actually made good coaching hires, but none of them have really worked out.
Speaking of Nebraska coaching hires, wasn't it? I hope I don't have this mistaken, but didn't Matt Rule just go out and hire an offensive coordinator in the middle of the season from outside the program to coach the final few games?
He may have.
On the offense. I think.
So did they fire their OC midseason?
Or maybe he was doing it.
Oh, it's Dana Holgerson's what you're thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. That was him, right?
Yeah. Okay. He's the new offensive coordinator for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Crazy. Yeah. Just brought the dude in, come last 3 games, bud. We need you.
He's like you said,
hair going everywhere.
Yeah, sitting on his couch eating nachos. Yeah, he's got the slick back hair and everything, and yeah, Yeah, that was crazy.
Hey, speaking of remember when, do y'all remember when Dana Holgerson left West Virginia to go to Houston? And we were all like, wow, why did he do that? And then it really didn't work out at all. Like, we were like, oh, he's way overqualified for that job. And then he stunk at it.
Yeah. There's been a lot of those times where it had been like weird moves in coaches in college. Because I'll be honest, people said probably that same crap when Bielema left for Wisconsin for Arkansas. They're like, I don't know why you would do that. It's like, well, didn't really work out for him. But yeah, that was
If things
good.
are going well, you don't need to change the scenery. That's the vibe I've learned here. Hey, before the Kentucky fans get out of here, I do want to ask you guys: is Mark Stoops, is he like completely safe, or are y'all like starting to open yourselves up to the idea of maybe going a different direction? Because I feel like he's kind of raised the bar and now it's fallen below the bar. Although they did just beat Vanderbilt, right? Which is a good win.
Did they?
I don't think they did.
Oh, did they lose to Vanderbilt?
I don't think they played them.
Yeah.
Who beat Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt beat them earlier in the year. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember when
then,
Vanderbilt beat
Kentucky. Then very much. Mark Stoops, is he safe or not? I just want to know.
Somebody asked him about like retiring or something at the end of the year, and he was like, "There's a 0% chance I'm doing that."
He's like, what do y'all think? I have a broken hip or something? Why would I retire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when does Sam Pittman, if Sam Pittman ever gets asked that question, like if it goes really badly on Saturday, I think he's going to get asked in the press. I was like, what are chances you actually just retire at the end of the year?
It's not. He's not going to be asked that question.
I don't think.
I know he's not. I know he's not. I just wish he would. I wish he would be asked.
I think Trey would be the most likely to ask it, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
Maybe like if they lose to like Louisiana Tech, or if they like they beat Louisiana Tech like 13-10. If he would be like, so Sam, big picture, is this what you want to do? Like, are you around?
Do you want to just go watch football every Saturday instead of coaching football every Saturday? Yeah. I hope somebody asked, but probably not. Like this from Arkansas, just because it's Arkansas. Kentucky. Say, hey, remember when Qualls dunked on Kentucky's head? Yes, I do.
I do remember.
I do remember that. That Kentucky team that went and played for the national championship with Julius Randle and was it Thaddeus Young? Was that his name?
Were they like no, James Young?
James Young
who got drafted like first round and it was a huge bust. But yeah, that Kentucky team was like an 8 seed, I think, that went to the title game.
And they were a lower seed because Arkansas beat them twice in the regular season, which was absurd. Yeah. And then I believe. Yeah, that had the Harrison twins on there, and Willie Cauley-Stein was on there, I believe, still, because he always was.
He was there for a long time.
Yes, he was. And the Harrison twins both were there.
How about that? That was a Kentucky team that wasn't that good, but overachieved in the postseason. Something you probably never heard regarding Cal at Kentucky. How about that?
I wonder how did they overachieve? I wonder what went into that.
He became a good coach that year, but then he forgot how to coach the year after.
That does happen often. Just slips your mind from year to year. Never know how to do it. So yeah, that's our Remember Wednesday here on the show. Actually, I think I had one more. No, I already talked about it. I talked about Tom Izzo. It's like, remember when everyone thought Tom Izzo was an elite level coach.
What about this? Remember when the media loved Arkansas basketball? Vaguely a little bit. Arkansas is now the bad boys, though. When you hire Cal, you become the bad boys.
Yeah, when you pay a lot of money for things is when you kind of become
it's a different level of scrutiny. Like you're kind of under a microscope for criticism that you just haven't been under before.
Yeah. But make no mistake, Hickory Hog, the media still loves Arkansas basketball because you know what Arkansas basketball is? Box office.
Yeah,
numbers, money. Yeah, money. That's why everyone brings Arkansas up. That's why we keep talking Arkansas basketball because people like to hear about Arkansas basketball. So even the national media that's, grifting a little bit, they're going to keep talking about Arkansas basketball. But yeah, I remember when Muss first started having success at Arkansas, a lot of people had the sentiment of like, man, college basketball, it's just better for college basketball when Arkansas is good. Like people were saying stuff like that. Now you don't really hear that. Now it's more like it's a travesty that Arkansas has the situation they have.
Well, as it was explained to me before, it's like the media doesn't love you based on if they say they love you. They based on it how much they talk about you. Like if they talk about you a lot, that means they love you because it's good for them and good for clicks and good for all of that. So, yeah, they love you, dude. They may not say it and the kindness that you were hoping for. But they do love you. They actually do. So.
Oh boy. Okay. Brandy says, you paid so much money for Cal. What do you think about him never doing a pregame press conference? I didn't expect him to, because he got paid a lot of money in Kentucky. And my understanding is he didn't really do the pregame press conferences then. As long as he's doing the post games, like I would be, I'm being honest here with my answer. Like I would be rubbed wrong if, especially like, if they lose a tough game or whatever, like if after that Baylor game, he would have sent Kenny Payne in there or something. Wouldn't have been crazy about that, but that's where the tough questions have to be asked. It's usually after games like that. And then listen, we all Kentucky fans in here, we ain't telling you nothing you don't already know. Like it's not like he can command a room, but he's not the best at answering questions that are asked of him. Like, so in terms of being a journalist or a writer and looking for specific quotes about, players or whatever, without some long-winded story, it's actually better in these previews to get different assistant coaches because you can get just a little bit different perspective. So I don't really mind. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. The pregame stuff doesn't bother me. I don't care if we get a coach at all. I would rather get a player or two, maybe. Yeah. But as long as he's doing the post game, I really don't have an issue with it personally.
I agree. It would be more of a thing if he were not doing the post games.
Yeah.
That would be a little bit like, okay, what's going on here? But yeah, I mean, those pregame press conference, and we're saying pregame, we're talking like day or two before the game. I guess it was 2 days before. Was it yesterday that he did a press conference?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, like those were never really something that we were like super worried about. It's kind of the same as like when people were freaking out. They were like, oh man, y'all hired Cal. Y'all must not have known he's going to have a talented roster and it's going to take a few games for them to find their footing. It's like, no, like that was kind of like we were prepared for that. If you had told me when they hired Cal, like, hey, he's not going to do those Monday morning press conferences, it's like, all right, I think I could live with that.
I do not care. I literally don't care. Like if he wants to, great. If not, what anybody and only should care about is winning. And if he wins, he can not do a press conference forever if he wins in people's minds.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's how it's going to go. Which one of you highlighted this? Insider serious question. What happens first? The Jets winning the Super Bowl or the Hogs winning a national championship in either of the top three sports? I'm just curious. Well, as someone who is a fan of both, sadly, I can tell you this: it is more likely that the Razorbacks will win a national championship in one of the top three sports.
They're losing this year, and the Jets are not going to win the Super Bowl this year.
No, like it's not going to happen. Like Arkansas baseball and basketball will always be flirting with a national championship. Football won't, but those two sports will. The Jets will never be flirting with a national or a Super Bowl because they're the Jets and they do dumb things. So there you go.
Hey, Mark Sanchez got you back-to-back AFC title games.
Razorback or the Jets' defense and the rushing attack is what got the back-to-back AFC title games. Thomas Jones and LaDainian Tomlinson were dudes. Not to mention Bart Scott, who was awesome. A guy named Darrell Revis in his prime. Yeah, that's what happened. So trust. Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling over here as a fan of my teams.
I think the Jets need to take Aaron Rodgers out back like old Yeller.
May have to, sure. Then they can bring in somebody else that sucks. So it'll be great.
Oh my God. Do y'all remember this from us? Yes. I remember. It was after the Penn. They played Penn. It was right after like Thanksgiving or something. They didn't play that well, but they won by like 15. And yeah, there you go. No garbage attitudes after wins. This is Miss Danielle laying down the law on Musk.
Hey, by the way, Michelle with a great comment here. One that Cal's been doing sassies. He's done back-to-back sassies, right?
Yeah, back-to-back sassies.
Again, he's done 2 of the 3. Like he's on pace to break his
over streak.
And also the idea that like we're not used to coaches doing weird stuff regarding come in there and like literally not talk at all in those press conferences. Like we've seen some really unprofessional coach behavior regarding press conferences. What Cal's done is like not even close to crashing that. Like, at least Cal's not coming to press conferences and sabotaging them.
Yeah, and that's the perspective that people don't have. I tweeted this last night after the the Gary Parrish thing went viral of like, oh, well, yeah, John Calipari he doesn't prioritize the 3. He hasn't adapted to the analytics. You're supposed to shoot 40% of your total shots from 3. And it's like, yeah, maybe so, but it's just not affecting Arkansas fans that much because it's the same damn thing that Muss did, and he still won at a high level. So it's true. Like, oh, it's not doing the press conference or acting crazy at a press conference. It's we have our own experiences that make us react to things a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just be honest. I mean, now obviously when we were really writing like a lot, that was like our main job. We lived and died with the press conferences. It really just doesn't affect us as much. I still obviously want the coaches to go to the press conference. I want to hear what they have to say, answer the questions, but it's like it really wouldn't like be the end of the world if Cal actually did start sabotaging press conferences.
It'd be entertaining.
I don't know how much sleep I would lose over it.
No, it'd be entertaining if, because imagine if Cal walked in after a loss in a press conference and handled it like Muss did. It'd almost be weird seeing it. Like he's just got his hands down here, not looking at anybody. Yeah. And just somebody says some question and he sits there in silence for 10 seconds before answering it because he just doesn't want to explode on the media member. Yeah. Those are the good times.
We thought we were going to win the game. Did we win the game, guys? No, we did not.
We did not win the game.
Organized against the zone? No. It's the funniest thing. I'm going to clip that and send it to y'all from Sassy's Monday. It's hilarious, man.
That's awesome. Yeah. Hickory Hawk says, appreciate with the super chat. Thank you. It says, appreciate all the coverage, fellas. You keep me entertained at work. Woo Pig and F Jeff Goodman. Well spoken.
Great stuff right there, man.
Well spoken there.
What are you hating me for?
Yeah.
What are you hating me for?
We should get him like in the show on a live stream sometime to see.
He'd do it too.
He would.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that relishes in that type of thing.
Yeah, he embraces the.
Hey, one thing about what I love. I've said this before. I love that the college basketball guys, like media guys, nationally, actually are basketball guys. Like Jeff Goodman is a basketball guy for better or for worse. The media guys, like the national guys in football, do not like football at all, and it kind of rubs me the wrong way. But like the national guys, like the Rothsteins and the Goodmans and the Gary Parrish of the world, they love basketball. So at the end of the day, as much as I don't like Jeff Goodman, I at least appreciate that like he's in the mix and watching basketball every day.
He certainly is that. Let's go ahead and jump into your SEC update presented by Rhoback. You can check out all the great Rhoback apparel for performances at Rhoback.com. Promo code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your first purchase. Plenty for the wintertime. They got it all at Rhoback.com. Using this as the college football talk for you. The college football playoff came out. And that's what the bracket would look like if it were to start today. First round, you'd have Boise State as the 12 seed facing off against Ohio State, the 5 seed. You'd have Notre Dame and Tennessee as the 9-8 matchup. You'd have Ole Miss and Penn State as the 11-6 matchup. And then Alabama, Indiana. The Crimson Tide have to go to Bloomington for the 10-7 matchup. And then, of course, with Boise State, Ohio State, the winner would play Miami. Notre Dame, Tennessee, winner play Oregon. Ole Miss, Penn State play BYU. And then Alabama, Indiana play Texas.
Why is Penn State so high?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess one loss, and it's a pretty good loss, I guess.
Yeah, who they beaten?
Well, see that I think that's the thing that people were arguing about. Their best win this season was against Illinois.
Yeah,
it's the best one they got.
I don't think Penn State's that great. But also, I guess there's just a lot of teams that have 2 losses where like you can't really rank. But I mean, I don't know. What's the case for them being ranked? Are they above Indiana? Yeah, they're one spot above Indiana. Why are they above Indiana?
Because I guess Indiana has not beaten literally anybody at all.
But they haven't lost to anybody.
Yeah, they got that going for them. Neither team has beaten anybody, and one of them hasn't lost. Yeah. But they'll have their shot. They play Ohio State next week. So we'll see about that. I wonder why SMU is not in there.
So, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Talking about this. SMU is literally in sole possession of first place in the ACC standings. Yeah. I believe they're 14 in the poll.
And their only loss is to BYU.
Right. Yeah. Who's number 6?
Right.
Or number 5 or whatever they are. Yeah, it is interesting. Like Miami, if the season technically ended today, Miami actually wouldn't be that team that got that automatic thing because I think they're 3rd place in the ACC standings as it stands today.
Yeah,
they
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, they moved SMU down a spot from last week.
That's nuts, man.
Craziness.
That's a brand name thing that I think. Listen, I'm gonna go to bat for my man Rhett Lashley here.
Your king.
But yeah, they lost to BYU by 3, and then they beat the living hell out of TCU. Florida State we know sucks, but a ranked win on the road at Louisville. Pitt was undefeated, and then they play those guys and beat them by like 4 touchdowns. I mean, it seems kind of crazy to me.
Also, it is also worth noting with SMU, they benched their quarterback at halftime of that BYU game. Mm-hmm. So you could actually argue that, like, since they found their guy, they haven't lost.
It's true.
Yeah. And go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and also they play Boston College, at Virginia, and Cal the rest of the way. So it's not like they have a gauntlet.
They'll be 11-1. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be 11-1.
And they would get the automatic. I mean, now there's an ACC title game, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they'll have to play Miami or whoever it is.
Or Clemson.
But yeah, like they're as of right now, like they're in the driver's seat to, potentially get that automatic bid, which is dude, if Rhett Lashley goes 12-1 and goes to the playoff,
he ain't coming to Arkansas.
Jeez, I was gonna say that dude's gonna be getting. He might coach the Lakers,
bro. If I was him, I would stay put. I would not go anywhere. If you got over there in your first year and you're in Dallas with all that oil money, and the ACC is a power conference, but it's like really you just gotta be better than either Clemson or Miami every year. He's got a pretty sweet situation there.
Yeah.
Also take into consideration too that they are not taking any revenue from the ACC for 10 years.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
That's wild, dude. That's right.
Yeah. So you're talking about missing out on tens of millions of dollars per year
to own the conference.
That's rough.
Crazy, man. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Isn't not the seeding, but the actual CFP rankings? It's like 4 out of the top 5 are Big Ten schools?
Yeah, which is pretty wild, all things considered, of how it's gone. Yeah, you got Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, all in the top 5.
Yeah.
Then you have Texas at number 3. As of right now, you got Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss that would be in the playoff. Georgia's the 12th ranked team, but they technically are on the outside looking in.
By the way, this could count as an SEC update. The SEC teleconference was today, and people were just trying to stir some stuff up, with the Texas rivalry or whatever. But somebody asked Sam, hey, some critics are out there saying that, Texas hasn't beaten anybody and they're overrated. And Sam just goes, well, there are a lot of critics out there who don't know what the hell they're talking about. And this is one of those times. It's pretty good. It was a very good Sam Pittman moment.
Man. I mean, he's probably got a little bit of a point too. I've had some people saying about Texas, be like, oh, well, they haven't beaten. I was like, yeah, that's true, but they're still pretty dominant and they're still pretty good.
Yeah,
and
they are.
I don't care what you do, the numbers don't lie. It should give some Razorback fans some really good, positive confidence, though, that Texas only ranks in the top 10 in the nation in both total offense, total defense, scoring offense, and scoring defense.
That's good.
It should make you feel pretty good.
Which, by the way, in today's, wide world of Sam Pittman's injury updates, Braxton's out. Jaquindon Jackson is as healthy as he's been since he got out of the womb.
He guaranteed Jaquindon Jackson was going to play.
And Taylon Green, who they didn't know if he was going to practice, but it turns out he practiced all of last week, has not been full speed at practice. He is probable for the game, but has not been full speed. So.
Jalen Braxton's not playing again.
Probably not.
Can we just go ahead and say it? I mean, if there's no point in if he's not playing in this game against Texas, what are you going to do? Bring him back for Louisiana Tech and Missouri?
The only thing I would say to that is that he did play 2 games. So, technically, if they were going to bring him back now, they would run the risk of maybe, he'd have to sit out the Louisiana
Tech game. Thing.
You know what I mean? But I mean, he's not. I mean, look, I agree, he's not playing. But yeah, we'll see. Next week it'll be official.
Also, I know it's about game notes and numbers and everything, but I'm still shocked every time I open up the Razorback game notes to see that Arkansas is number 5 in the country in total offense per game.
If you are 1 games.
Yeah, I know. But it's just wild because I feel like the offense is not good. But the yardage-wise, it is. And number 2 in the SEC.
UAPB and Mississippi State might be the worst 2 defenses in the entire country. And and then you got an Oklahoma State team that has not won a game since they played you or whatever. So that helps a lot. But yeah, you're right. It is crazy to see that because for the longest we were like, okay, these dudes aren't scoring and they were rushing for so much. Now they're averaging like 100 yards per game. And there's been a lot of talk about the offense. But it is funny how it's kind of flipped as they started to struggle and started to lose some games here recently. It's like, oh, Travis Williams, who was carrying them earlier in the year, now the defense can't stop anybody from doing anything. And the offense is like they got a sneaky, 31 points and however many yards against Ole Miss, where if that was even a game worth playing in the second half, probably would have been a different story.
Yeah. It is. It reminds me a lot of the 2022 season where every now and then they'd have awesome defensive performances, but their defensive numbers stunk across the board. Offensively, we never felt like we were watching an elite offense, but their yardage was always up there. But the red zone was always confusing.
Yeah. Well, even the scoring offense is 5th in the SEC and 34 overall in the country. But I'm glad you mentioned the 2022 season. I was going to bring that up too, because now we see Arkansas's dead last in passing offense per game in the SEC and 124th overall. It's amazing, though, what can happen when one team throws for 500 yards on you like Ole Miss did. So, yeah, pretty rough to look at the game notes and where these teams rank. It's not for the faint at heart when it comes to this game. But also, as part of a little bit, I guess, of the SEC update, did y'all see that Kirby Smart now regrets calling out that poor kid that was caught celebrating one of his players on the field with the
called him an idiot.
Yeah, called him an idiot. Now he's sorry. He admits he was wrong calling him an idiot.
I mean, I probably would have called him an idiot to his face. Like in the meeting behind closed doors, like, you idiot. Like, the cameras are on you or whatever. I get it. It's your family and stuff. But when you're not calling, all the drunk drivers in your program an idiot, and you know what I mean? Like, you've had like 150 dudes arrested in the last few years. And have you gone public and called them a bunch of idiots? And this kid's just, celebrating with family. It was a bad look, but yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, I don't think you should have done that in the regard, but also that kid is, I'll say it, an idiot for not having any self-awareness of you got a team that you went on the road that is rushing the field and could have possibly ended your college football playoff appearance. And I don't care if it's your family or not, you're going to jump around like that. That's weird.
Just like, give him a hug or
that was just weird.
After the game and celebrate, he's definitely an idiot. But I also agree that Kirby Smart should not go to a press conference and call him an idiot. I'm with you, especially because he's had many of opportunities to call other players idiots and is not. I think what Kirby probably should have done is just been like, he feels bad about it. We're handling it in house. I appreciate you the question, but we're handling that in house or something along those lines. And also, you should handle that in house. Like, go to him and be like, "Hey, man, you're an idiot. Don't do that. Looks stupid."
Also, final thing on the SEC. It's unfortunate that Diego got denied at this point in time by a judge his extra year of eligibility.
Just refused to let that man be great.
I know. It's
his mom.
I did not see it. No, I did not see his mom. Good. I mean, I figured that's where it was going to go, but I was going to see if there was any follow up to it. But
just saying,
just asking the question. I'm sure that she'll get Googled right now by everybody in the chat. But either way, they denied his request for the temporary restraining order, but they're not closing the matter entirely. They're still looking into the possibility of suing him. So, anyways. There you go. Maybe
his grounds in. It's like redshirting at a JUCO or something. He should,
because they changed the rule in the middle of like. That's what some of the people don't realize. Like, they changed the rule where originally after COVID, JUCO players could have that, but then they changed it to where JUCO players can't have that, but they didn't change it for the players that weren't JUCO. So it's almost like you were punishing players for being JUCO, but you were rewarding players that weren't. So I think that's what the grounds he's trying to sue on, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Andrew, when you did that, there's about a 2-second period where I legit thought your screen froze again, like right after that moment. I was like, no way.
That would have been funny.
Yeah. Everyone's in the chat wanting proof of the mom, so may just Google that one for yourself, folks.
Yeah, just Twitter search Diego Pavia mom.
Yeah, just do that. That's all you got to do.
Safe search on.
Well, speaking of safe search, I'm going to provide this. I had to share this with you guys.
Okay.
There's this really inappropriate, and there's some words in here that may offend some. But I retweeted the post about Malik Thomas coming to Arkansas, committing to Arkansas. And when you get tagged, as you guys know, by national media people like Tipton or whoever, and you retweet it, you get all the replies in it too. Well, this was one that I had to just look. This is a 4-page deal not 4-page, but 4 different sets of tweets from a thread. And this is a reminder, folks. This is just from the tweet that I retweeted with Razorback fans and other people in it about Malik Thomas committing to Arkansas. So here you go. It starts from the left and goes to the right. Ken the Kangaroo comes in and says, dude talked about putting Pittsburgh on the map and then commits to Arkansas. Have fun and bum F nowhere. Glad you got your money. Somebody says, obviously, you don't know anything about Northwest Arkansas. Anonymous says, can't teach a half-bred with 35 followers anything. Dude probably rarely gets out of the basement. Ken says, called a burner, you re. At least I don't bleep my cousins. Have fun losing to a 13 seed.
Jesus.
And then Hog Anonymous says, haha, check the incest areas before you try making fun of that has less than Kentucky. Joke's on you. And then this guy posts a story about a mother and son arrested for incest in, I guess, the Bono, Arkansas area. And then Smitty comes back with another report from someone in Kentucky that got an incest charge with them. And everyone's moving the goalpost, and they start saying about hey, well, here's the percentages, a breakdown in the Amish communities of how 95% doesn't get reported from incest. And then, it just really goes off the rails. And these are in my mentions. And I wake up and I see this. I'm like, what has happened? So I just had to share that. And there was a lot of things that happened, all because Malik Thomas committed to Arkansas. That's what happens from it.
Yeah, I got caught up in that too, I believe.
That's wild behavior, stuff, man. I tell you what, I didn't see all of that, and I'm glad I didn't, frankly. But what I did see was Pittsburgh fans doing the thing where they were like, "Oh, he sold out and just took the bag. He took the paycheck, and blah blah blah." And it's just really nice to see Arkansas in that context, being like you sold out and went to the rich folks, and you went to Arkansas. Like I think that's cool.
Well, I just laugh too because now it's like, oh, he just took the bag, and it's like, yeah. He did.
Yeah,
that's an insult
and go play in the NBA. Really bad idea for him to do that. That totally will not help his community.
Yeah, it's really dumb stuff. Really dumb behavior there. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things is just to see people who are like, he took the bag. Yeah, he did. So what? What's the problem? What's the issue there?
I don't nobody should ever be shamed for taking the bag. Frankly, they just shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't be. Just a few minutes here, guys. I wanted to play a video, but of course we get demonetized if I do. But how did I not know? And I know I don't know a lot because I got so much going on in my life. I can't keep up with everything. This Austin P guy with one arm, basketball player. That's a really cool thing. I saw the highlights of him and everything, getting steals and whatnot. It's pretty awesome. He's averaging 20 minutes a game, shooting 85% from the field, 5 rebounds, 6 free.
Force them left, dude.
Huh?
Yeah. He said, "Just force them left." It can't be that hard. I mean, geez.
He played in the Iverson Classic with, I guess, when Anthony Black was in it or whatever. But yeah, that's been a thing for a while. I don't remember. I feel like he started somewhere else, right? Yeah, and now he's there. But it's
got offered by. I remember when he got offered by Northwestern State in Louisiana because
it might have been where he went at first. I don't know for sure.
It's a pretty cool story.
Really cool, man. Yeah.
And his highlights are fun to watch. I remember when he was in high school was when he first kind of came on the scene. His highlights are fun to watch, man. He's it's interesting there.
Come on, Devin.
That's crazy. Dude.
Come on, Devin.
That's crazy.
Come on, Devin. Also, there was another. Oh yeah, this is a random story, more pop culture and everything. John Krasinski was voted People's Sexiest Man Alive.
Who is that?
He's from The Office.
Jim Halper from The Office.
Yeah. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
I felt like this is 10 years ago.
It is weird that it's this year. What is he? Because he's directing stuff.
Yeah.
He's kind of not even. He's more behind the camera. I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason I brought it up is because also women are very upset because they felt like that Glenn Powell should have gotten the honor. But I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works. I don't know who votes on it, but it's just funny how every time someone comes out, they're like, "Oh, that guy, he looks terrible." That's just weird how that always happens, but still.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is it's weird that people get upset about it. I actually think it's I always notice it when they tweet out, "Oh, Time Magazine said so and so." I saw Benny Blanco was nominated.
Mhm.
I don't know if y'all know who Benny Blanco is. Not one of the sexiest men alive. But I thought that was funny. It always is kind of interesting to me. But yeah, I saw that we got robbed. We did not get named hottest podcast host.
They needs to become a thing and an award at some point here soon that we need to be involved in and win. Also, Caitlin Clark smoked a drive into a crowd at a golf event.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah, everyone's okay, but it's still pretty funny to see. She's one of us. She's just very much like one of us, smoking it into the crowd.
I always like to see when that happens. I saw Caitlin Clark with Tyrese Halliburton at some game.
Tyrese Halliburton, like a NBA.
Caitlin Clark and her friend at it was some college basketball game.
Yeah, Butler name.
That sounds about right.
That would make sense.
I mean, Indiana. Yeah, that would make sense. they both play in Indiana.
That's true. All right, guys. Any final thoughts before we get out of here for today?
No final thoughts. See y'all at the post game show tonight.
Yeah, pull up with us tonight. We're gonna have a good time on the post game show. Arkansas is gonna play good basketball, and that's all we got.
Here's hoping. Let's hope it's nice. Okay.
Yeah, I think some of y'all just need to be bonked a little bit. Like that's, like what?
Yeah, get the water bottle out and start spraying y'all down a little bit.
Yeah.
Come on, you guys are gotta relax.
Come on now.
Oh man, yeah. Good way to end the show.
Shout out to Brim for his comments on Halliburton's.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of videos or viral moments lately. So yeah.
Oh geez. Well, either way, appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us here on Inside Arkansas on YouTube. You can also check us out on social media at Inside Arkansas, as well as get after us on our website at InsideArkansas.com for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information when it comes to all things Razorbacks. And we're going to keep it going from there. So for Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. We'll see you tonight for Pond at the Palace Live post-game show following Arkansas and Troy at around 9:30-ish. See you then.